This is from Barbara Tripaluk. She submitted this from New York, Saratoga Springs, New York. When we put out an email request to our supporters, what kind of questions would you want to have asked at the debate? And her question is, Barbara, is how would you respond to Israel's continuous intrusions, that is, on the daily lives of the captive Palestinian people and the insistence on the ownership of land in the West Bank of Gaza? Charles Kraut.
I read an article recently that talked about how Israel has been playing the persecution card for 75 years and using that to gain political favors from their supporters, including the United States. And it is absolutely true that the United States made a similar mistake that we did in Vietnam years later, because the French had failed in Vietnam, so we went in and tried to do something better and failed as well. The British and the French were involved in the partitioning of Palestine and in the Middle East for decades, in and around World War I up to World War II, and failed. So then we got involved. And I happen to be ashamed of some of the missions that our troops are sent on these days for various reasons. But I'm thinking too, I've read a lot about some of the political assassinations that the CIA has conducted, especially in the Middle East. Maybe we shouldn't have interfered politically in putting in the Shah of Iran, or supporting Saddam Hussein, or supporting the Saudi royal family, because Wahhabism, which springs from Saudi Arabia, is the most virulent form of terrorism in the world today. Maybe we shouldn't be conducting death from above today using armed drones, which, by the way, is now legal to be used against American citizens suspected of being terrorists in foreign countries. We have created enemies, but we also have to remember that the number one motivation of the Palestinians and the entire Arab world is, quote, death to Israel. Does that change our approach as to whether we support these people as friends, as the only properly established democracy, quote unquote, in the Middle East, or do we abandon them? It's a very tough thing to do, but we do have to remember that they won the 6 Days War in 6 days and took over the entire Sinai and the West Bank, and only because the Palestinians are like the camel with his nose in the tent and they demand everything, and then they'll settle for half, then they're back 3 weeks later demanding everything again, they'll settle for half again. This is why there are the problems that there are today. There are peaceful ways to resolve this, but nobody's really looking for them.